Welcome everyone, thank you for being back here with us. Today we're gonna be talking about Boyfriend Dungeon. We briefly played this game a few days ago and we were hooked. We finished it quite fast, I think. And now we just want to give you guys a full review now that we actually know more about this game. First time we just went in blind and we really didn't know much about it. We essentially knew what the store page says on Steam, which is take your weapons, romance swords, daggers, and pole arms to level them up in this hack and slash dungeon crawling adventure. So this game is divided in essentially two parts. The first is the dating part, and the second one is the dungeon crawling part. They speed up some monsters with some really nice hot weapons. So regarding the dating part, you have a selection of 7 people you can actually get to know and date through the game. In total, I think it took me about 10 hours, maybe a bit less, to finish the whole story with just dating one weapon. With some other dating scenes, you can actually choose one path and then save in certain points, so you can go back if you went with the wrong choice or if you want to choose someone else. But with this one, you don't really have that option. I didn't encounter like a bad decision because I actually tried to get to know that dude. It seems that there is only one path for you, like either you choose one weapon and just max him out and get to know him and essentially ignore everyone else, or you go ahead and have a great summer dating 7 people at the same time. Regarding the stories, it's not that strong, I guess, but it's interesting. Like you won't get bored. There were some concerns about the main antagonist of the game because of some stalking going around. So it's something to think about if you want to play this game and you are not really okay with it. But if you are okay with that part, the story shouldn't be a problem.
As for me, when Pepper went with one person, I kind of went with one person, but I also was a bit of a man whore, and I dated at least a few different weapons. At least Isaac, Sunder, Rowan. Let's see. Valeria was my route of choice, and I think I tried a bit of Sawyer, and definitely 7. Yeah, 7 was also pretty good. You can date anyone, like Pepper said, or you can be platonic. No matter, even if you do reject them, that they'll still act as if you're trying to court them, and then out of nowhere they'll do a breakup animation with you. And I myself haven't encountered that, but all in all, I think it's a pretty okay story. I don't like the ending. I think the antagonist should have had more coming to him, but that's not up to me. It's up to the developers and what they choose to do.
I think it was very wholesome overall. Like, some characters do come off as strong, but they actually apologize if you seem like not too much into them. They're very sweet. They have quite interesting subplots in each of their stories. Some more than others, I think. Characters overall, yeah, I like them. And your cousin is cool too. So yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love Jesse. That man is the best wingman a guy could ask for. So as for the second part of the gameplay, you have the dungeon crawling. For the dungeon crawling, it's very, very simple dungeon crawler. You're looking down from a top-down perspective. You can customize your character in any different outfits you want, and you'll see them, wandering around the dungeon with whatever weapon you want. And yeah, they call it the Dunj because if they called it with a G, it wouldn't be very clean, I would say. Essentially, you would pick a weapon and you go into the dungeon and all the way down to the bottom. You try to make it as far as you go, and it has a total of about 12 floors. Going through the dungeon is the only way At least it's the main way of leveling up your relationship with different weapons and characters, especially when you find these little areas where you can take breaks, and they'll have a little conversation with each and every person. They have different reactions at different places. As for the dungeon levels, there's about 12 total. For the top, I'd say probably 7. Those are what we refer to as the regular levels. They have your regular variety monsters, all the break spots and all that. But when you get past the 7th level, there's something called the deeps, and these are the more difficult areas of the dungeon. Basically, you'll have more enemies. They have bigger health bars, basically, and they do more damage. And the final boss is of course, for the final floor. Of course, different levels, you can also have the opportunity to encounter another weapon. I'd say you encounter at least 3 or 4 different weapons like this. I know you encounter 7, Sawyer, and Pocket. But the only unfortunate part about this system is that there's only 2 dungeons in the entire game. So if you're going for the Game Boy alone, it won't last you very long. But yeah, that's essentially it. You can also craft different clothing, gifts, and things called Zines. Zines are basically these books that you can get that offer you different powers. So the very first one you get is called the Dragon Zine. And the Dragon Zine basically lets you shoot a fireball at your enemies. You have the Decoy Zine, where you can create a decoy and take the heat off of you if you're in a pinch. And there's some other ones too. I won't go into too much detail, but yeah, that's essentially it for the dungeons, I think.
Also, there is a few secrets hiding between each dungeon, so I encourage you to explore and don't be afraid to just hit some walls,
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. The most interesting part about the dungeon is you have these little, like Pepper said, there's these secret little vending machines. All I can say is make sure you select the question mark option and you'll be in for a surprise.
Now let's talk about a bit about the art. What do you think about it, Tetz? Think these weapons reach your expectations?
Yeah, they do. I think the art is pretty good for this game.
Yeah, I particularly like it a lot. I think that's one of the main reasons why we decided to play this game. We really liked the art at first, like the introduction video. Deviating a bit from art, I actually found quite simple to navigate the game. You don't get quite confused like with other games, like where is the exit? How do I do this? Where do I go now?
I'd say, yeah, they're really easy to navigate through, especially the animations between each, menu, and definitely the transitions for like different scenes. The art team really did a good job, I think, of doing their own unique style. Especially like the menus are snappy, they're easy to see. I'd say for the UI, it's not bad, but there's areas it can improve.
Yeah, one particular thing I like it about how you navigate this game is that you can actually, walk around the map. That's not something you can do on many other games. You usually just click on the places and then you will be there. But with this one, you can actually run around the place, explore the town, and reach whatever place you want to be like that.
If I'm correct, I think that's like the only way you can find one of the weapons, Rowan, I think. The only way you can find them is if you go up to the north part of town, and because it's usually out of sight, and if I, didn't look up at least the slightest bit, I wouldn't have known Rowan was, an option to date. I will say, though, I am a bit disappointed with the amount of options you have to go, because the town itself is nice, but, like, there's other areas like the surrounding forest and the beach and the woods and all that good stuff, but there's, like, barely anything in the town to interact with besides a few places. And not only that, but also a few places become inaccessible if you don't have a date or a specific event going on.
Yeah, that's one thing about this game, that if you want to actually explore every single place, you gotta date everyone. Now, regarding the music, since the moment I opened this game, I think I was really impressed. Some 18 scenes or some Otome games have quite a bit of a repetitive music, and if you play it for too long, you just don't want to hear it anymore. but they did good with the music soundtrack. It doesn't get on your nerves after 10 hours of gameplay, so that's a win for them. So it was quite nice.
Yeah, the music was really good. It really hooked me in when I first booted up the game and I started playing. I really liked that main menu soundtrack. It gives you, it really matches the screen, and it's like, this is a game of love. You're here to date. You're here to find a weapon and romance them. But other than that, yeah, I'd say I agree with Pepper. The sound design was pretty good, especially the sound effects for all the different weapons. You had some nice impacts, slashing sound effects, and whatnot. And the voice acting in this game was pretty good too, I think.
We like it. That's our take on it. We like it. So yeah, we really like this game, but was it really worth $20? I don't think so. I feel like it lacks a bit of content. Overall, is quite good. You get a lot of choices. Gameplay is fun. The story part is good, but it feels kind of short. That I could explore more. I could do more with these people. I feel like I would have liked to interact a bit more with the weapon I chose. There is a lot more I could have done within the game. Like maybe have an after story dungeon, like there is like an open window for there to be more content. We actually met one weapon that is not available during the summer, so that gives me hope that they will actually give us more content in the future. But for now, it feels short for a $20 game.
I agree with Pepper on this one. $20 is a bit much, I think, for this one. Pretty much after you max out your relationship with a weapon, you get something called a whetstone, and this will let you pretty much speed blitz through all the other weapons if you want to, max out their love ranks and whatnot. The gameplay can get repetitive. I found myself getting, very a bit bored, especially near the end, where I kind of rushed it, the rest of the story, mostly because I just wanted to get done with it. Because I already maxed out Valeria's relationship, and I really didn't care about maxing out all the other ones. There's hope for either a DLC or maybe something extra to be added onto it. Because only 2 dungeons, in my opinion, isn't worth it, especially if you're going to call yourself a dungeon crawler.
Yeah, I think if we look at them individually, the romance and the beating monsters part, it falls a bit short. But combining them, it was good. I will give it a 6. Maybe 6.5 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say probably a 6 out of 10 also.
It's a good game.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I will recommend it.
As for me, I wouldn't. Mostly because this isn't my kind of game that I usually play. I usually don't play too many Otome games or dating sims. I'm more of a RPG kind of guy. I really only played this mostly because I made a promise to Pepper.
Yeah, for those that actually like this type of game, I'll say go for it, but I don't know, maybe wait for it to be on sale. Or, for another update. Maybe we'll get more things later in the future. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for joining us on this review.
Thanks for joining, guys. See you next time.